about something I wasn't supposed to know. "Dad, are you okay?" Emily's voice startled me. My 13-year-old daughter stood in the garage doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder, looking at me with those sharp eyes that missed nothing. She got her intelligence from me, but thankfully her mother's looks. At least Melinda had contributed something worthwhile to our family. "Just checking Mom's phone," I said, which was technically true. "She left it out here by accident." Emily frowned. "Mom has 2 phones now? Smart kid. Too smart. Sometimes work gives people extra phones for work stuff." She didn't buy it, but she nodded anyway. "Dinner's ready." Mom made that weird quinoa thing again. Of course she did. Melinda had been on a health kick for exactly 6 weeks, ever since she'd started working late twice a week and hitting the gym every morning. I'd assumed she was going through some kind of midlife crisis. Turns out I was half right. I followed Emily inside, slipping the burner phone into my back pocket. The dining room smelled like disappointment and organic vegetables. Melinda sat at the head of the table, looking radiant in that way women look when they're getting regular attention from someone who isn't their husband. "Owen, you're late," she said without looking up from her phone. Her real phone. The one I was allowed to know about. "Traffic," I lied, taking my usual seat. The quinoa looked like tiny beige pellets of sadness. "How was your day?" "Busy. I have that client dinner tonight, remember? I'll be home late. Client dinner, right." I wondered if Troy Bannon qualified as a client, or if that was just what we were calling it now. Emily pushed her quinoa around her plate. "Can I go to Jessica's house this weekend?" "We'll see," Melinda said, still not looking up. I might have plans." "What kind of plans?" I asked. Finally, Melinda met my eyes. There was something different there, something cold and calculating I'd never seen before. "Adult plans, Owen. You wouldn't understand." The burner phone felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. I wanted to throw it on the table, watch her face when she realized I knew, but something held me back. Maybe it was the way Emily was watching us, sensing the tension crackling between her parents like electricity before a storm. After dinner, Melinda disappeared upstairs to get ready for her meeting. I helped Emily with her math homework, listening to the sound of the shower running above us. When Melinda came back down, she was wearing a black dress I'd never seen before and perfume that cost more than my monthly car payment. "Don't wait up," she said, kissing my cheek with lips that felt like ice. I waited until her car pulled out of the driveway before I pulled out the burner phone again. There were dozens of messages between Melinda and TB going back 3 months. The early ones were flirty but innocent. The recent ones were explicit enough to make my ears burn. The worst part wasn't the sex talk, though that was bad enough. It was the way she talked about me. Owen's working late again, thank God. "My husband is so clueless. It's almost sad. He thinks I'm at book club. If he only knew what I was really reading. Book club." She'd been going to book club every Thursday for 2 months. I'd even asked her what they were reading once. She'd said something about contemporary fiction and changed the subject. My phone rang. Raj Patel, my coworker, and the closest thing I had to a best friend. "Owen, my man, you sound terrible." "What's wrong?" I told him everything about the burner phone, the messages, the lies. Raj listened without interrupting, which was unusual for him. He was the kind of guy who had an opinion about everything, usually delivered with a thick Chicago accent and enough sarcasm to kill small plants. "So, what are you going to do?" he asked when I finished. "I don't know. Confront her, I guess. Ask for a divorce." "That's it? That's your plan?" "Owen, this woman has been making a fool of you for months. She's been laughing about it with her boyfriend. And you're just going to roll over and take it? What else am I supposed to do?" "Fight back. Make her pay. You're the smartest guy I know when it comes to solving problems. Treat this like a project. What's your end goal?" I thought about it. What did I want? I wanted Melinda to hurt the way I was hurting. I wanted her to understand what she'd thrown away. I wanted her to regret every cruel word she'd typed about me to her lover. I want her to know she messed with the wrong guy, I said finally. "Now you're talking. But Owen, be smart about it. Don't do anything stupid that'll land you in jail or cost you custody of Emily." After I hung up, I sat in my home office staring at the burner phone. The screen lit up with another message from TB. "Your husband called in sick today. Perfect timing." Wait. What? I hadn't called in sick. I'd been at work all day, sitting 3 cubicles away from Raj, debugging a server migration that had gone sideways. I scrolled back through the messages, looking for context. There it was, from 2 hours ago. Melinda to TB. "Told Owen you had food poisoning and couldn't make it to dinner." He actually looked concerned, so sweet and stupid. She wasn't having a client dinner. She was supposed to be having dinner with Troy and me, some kind of introduction, probably to throw me off the scent, but Troy had canceled, and instead of telling me the truth, she'd made up a story about a client dinner and gone to see him anyway. The lies were getting more elaborate, which meant she was getting more careless. I heard the garage door opening. Melinda was home, 3 hours earlier than expected. I shoved the burner phone into my desk drawer and tried to look like I'd been working on my laptop. She appeared in the doorway of my office, still wearing the black dress, but looking disheveled. Her lipstick was gone, and her hair was messed up in a way that told a story I didn't want to read. "How was your client dinner?" I asked. "Fine." "Boring. You know how these things are." I didn't, actually. I'd never been important enough to have client dinners, but I nodded like I understood. "Troy sends his regards, by the way. He was disappointed he couldn't make it." My blood turned to ice water. She was talking about him, right to my face, using his name like it meant nothing, like she hadn't been texting him about what she wanted him to do to her body. "That's too bad," I managed. "Maybe next time." Melinda smiled, and for a second she looked like the woman I'd married 16 years ago, young and beautiful and full of possibilities. "Maybe. Although I think you two might not have much in common." She was right about that. For starters, I'd never stolen another man's wife. "I'm going to bed," she said. "Don't stay up too late." I waited until I heard the bedroom door close before I pulled out the burner phone again. A new message had arrived while we were talking. "TB, thanks for tonight. Your husband really doesn't deserve you." "Melinda, he doesn't deserve anything. But don't worry, that's going to change soon." I stared at that message for a long time, trying to figure out what it meant. What was going to change? Was she planning to leave me, or was she planning something worse? I forwarded the entire conversation to my personal email, then deleted the evidence from the phone. If Melinda wanted to play games, I was going to learn the rules. The next morning, I woke up to find Melinda packing a suitcase. "Business trip," she explained without looking at me. "Last-minute thing, I'll be gone until Sunday." It was Wednesday. 4 days. I checked the burner phone while she was in the bathroom. TB had texted her an address for a hotel in downtown Minneapolis, along with a room number. "Where are you going?" I asked when she came back. "Chicago. Boring insurance stuff. You wouldn't be interested. Chicago was 3 hours south. The hotel address was 15 minutes away." She kissed me goodbye with those ice-cold lips again, then hugged Emily and promised to bring her back something special. I watched from the window as she drove away, probably to spend 4 days doing things with Troy Bannon that she hadn't done with me in years. That's when I decided Raj was right. It was time to fight back. But first, I needed to know exactly what I was fighting. I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. Emily was at school, Melinda was at her love nest downtown, and I had 4 days to figure out exactly how deep this betrayal went. My first stop was Troy's gym. Bannon Fitness occupied a converted warehouse in the trendy part of Minneapolis, all exposed brick and industrial lighting. The kind of place where people paid $200 a month to lift heavy things and post about it on Instagram. Troy Bannon looked exactly like what you'd expect from a guy who steals other men's wives. 6'2", perfect teeth, the kind of tan that comes from spending more on skincare than I spend on groceries. He was leading a spinning class when I walked in, shouting encouragement at a room full of soccer moms who hung on his every word. "That's it, ladies. Feel the burn. You're stronger than you think." I watched from the juice bar, pretending to read a brochure about personal training packages. Troy commanded the room like a general leading troops into battle. If generals wore tight athletic shorts and had their names tattooed across their biceps in tribal font. When the class ended, I approached him. "Excuse me, are you Troy Bannon?" He flashed me a smile that probably cost more than my car. "That's me. What can I do for you?" "My wife mentioned you, Melinda Winslow. She said you guys met at a conference." Something flickered across his face. Recognition, maybe, or guilt. "Oh, right, Melinda. Insurance industry, right? Great lady. How can I help you?" "I was thinking about joining a gym. She said you were the best trainer in the city." The smile got wider. "She said that? That's so sweet of her." "Yeah, I'd love to help you reach your fitness goals. When were you thinking of starting?" "Soon. Maybe next week when Melinda gets back from her business trip." "Business trip?" He looked confused for just a second, then recovered. "Oh, right, of course. Well, whenever you're ready, just give me a call." He handed me his business card. Troy Bannon, owner/head trainer. There was a photo of him flexing on the back, because apparently subtlety wasn't his strong suit. I spent the rest of the afternoon doing research. Social media was a goldmine. Troy's Instagram was full of shirtless selfies and motivational quotes about living your best life and taking what you deserve. His Facebook showed he'd been divorced twice, with cryptic posts about toxic people and moving on from negativity. More interesting were the comments from women. Lots of heart-eye emojis and flirty messages. Troy seemed to have a type. Married, lonely, and looking for attention he was happy to provide. I found Melinda in several photos from the past 2 months. Always in group shots, never alone with Troy, but positioned close enough to send a message. In one photo from 3 weeks ago, his hand was on her lower back. She was looking at him like he'd just offered to solve all her problems. The comments on that photo were illuminating. "You two look so happy together," from someone named Kelsey. "About time Melinda found someone who appreciates her," from Sandra. Kelsey and Sandra. I knew those names. They were Melinda's book club friends, the ones she'd been spending so much time with lately. Apparently, they were in on the secret. I screenshot everything and created a folder on my computer labeled Project Management. If anyone asked, I was working on a new client database. That evening, Emily and I ordered pizza and watched a movie. She seemed happier with just the two of us, more relaxed. We talked about school, her friends, her plans for summer vacation, normal father-daughter stuff that I realized I'd been missing while trying to navigate the minefield of my marriage. "Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced?" she asked during a commercial break. The question hit me like a punch to the stomach. Why would you ask that? You guys don't talk anymore. And when you do, it's all weird and polite, like you're strangers. Plus, Mom's been acting different. She keeps checking her phone and smiling at it. But when you try to talk to her, she acts annoyed. Smart kid. Too smart. Your mom and I are going through a rough patch. But whatever happens, it's not your fault, and we both love you very much. I know that. I just wish you guys would figure it out. It's hard living with people who pretend to like each other. Out of the mouths of babes. The next morning, I drove past the hotel where Melinda was supposedly not staying. Her car was in the parking lot, parked next to a silver BMW that I recognized from Troy's Instagram posts. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, trying to decide what to do. I could march up there and pound on the door, catch them in the act. I could take photos and use them in the divorce proceedings. I could slash his tires and key his car. Instead, I drove home and made a plan. Raj came over that evening with Chinese takeout and a bottle of whiskey. Emily was at a sleepover, so we could talk freely. "So, what's the strategy?" he asked, pouring 2 generous glasses of bourbon. "I want to destroy them both, but I want to do it smart. No violence, nothing illegal. I want them to ruin themselves." I like where this is going. What did you have in mind? I pulled out my laptop and showed him everything I'd collected. The photos, the social media posts, the hotel registration. I'd sweet-talked out of a desk clerk who thought I was trying to surprise my wife. "Troy's got a reputation to maintain," I said. "His whole business is built on being trustworthy. Women have to feel safe with him, comfortable letting him train them. What happens when they find out he's a home wrecker?" "Bad for business," Raj agreed. "What about Melinda?" "She's up for a promotion at work. Senior vice president. She's been working toward it for 2 years. The company has a strict morality clause in their executive contracts. Adultery is specifically mentioned as grounds for termination." Raj grinned. "You devious bastard. I love it. But how are you going to expose them without looking like the bitter ex-husband?" "That's where it gets interesting." "I'm not going to expose them. They're going to expose themselves." I explained my plan. It was elegant in its simplicity and completely legal. More importantly, it would give them enough rope to hang themselves. "Phase 1 starts Monday," I said. "When Melinda gets back from her fake business trip." "What about Emily?" "You don't want her caught in the crossfire." "Emily's my priority. Whatever happens, I protect her first, but she's already figured out something's wrong. At least this way, she'll know her dad isn't a pushover." We finished the bottle and spent the rest of the night refining the details. By the time Raj left, I had a timeline, a budget, and a clear set of objectives. Melinda came home Sunday evening glowing like she'd spent 4 days at a spa instead of 4 days cheating on her husband. She brought Emily a snow globe from Chicago, even though the gift shop sticker on the bottom clearly said Minneapolis Souvenir Shop. "How was the conference?" I asked over dinner. "Productive. Lots of networking opportunities. I think it's going to pay off in the long run." "That's great. Did you meet anyone interesting?" She looked at me sharply, like she was trying to figure out if there was a hidden meaning in the question. "A few people. You know how these things are." I didn't, but I nodded anyway. "I'm glad you had a good time. You seem refreshed." "I feel refreshed. Sometimes you need to get away from your routine, try new things, remember who you are outside of your normal life." Emily looked back and forth between us like she was watching a tennis match. Can we talk about something else? This is weird. Melinda laughed. Sorry, sweetheart. Your father and I were just catching up. After Emily went to bed, Melinda and I sat in the living room pretending to watch television. She kept checking her phone and smiling. I kept thinking about phase 1 of my plan. Owen, I need to tell you something, she said during a commercial break. My heart stopped. This was it. She was going to confess, ask for a divorce, tell me she was leaving me for Troy. I've been thinking about our marriage, about what I want from life. I think we need to make some changes. What kind of changes? I want more space, more freedom to be myself. I feel like I've been living for everyone else for so long, I've forgotten what makes me happy. And what makes you happy, Melinda? She looked at me with those cold eyes. I don't think you'd understand. Try me. I want to feel desired again. I want to feel like I'm worth fighting for. I want to be with someone who sees me as more than just a wife and mother. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. She was telling me she was leaving without actually saying it, giving me a chance to fight for her, maybe, or at least to make it easy. I see, I said finally. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Melinda? I want you to care. I want you to ask me what's wrong, or tell me you'll change, or something. Anything. Would it matter if I did? She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in her expression. Disappointment, maybe? Or relief? No, she said quietly. I don't think it would. Then I guess we have nothing more to talk about. She went upstairs without another word. I stayed on the couch, listening to her moving around in our bedroom, probably texting Troy about how her husband was even more pathetic than she'd thought. The burner phone was still in my desk drawer. I checked it before going to bed. Troy had sent her a dozen messages over the weekend, each one more explicit than the last. The final message made my stomach turn. Can't wait to make you mine permanently. Your husband won't know what hit him. Phase 1 couldn't start soon enough. Monday morning, I implemented the first part of my plan. I created a fake social media account under the name Concerned Friend and started following Troy's gym members, Melinda's coworkers, and everyone in their social circles. The beauty of social media is that people love to share their drama. They post about their relationships, their problems, their secrets, all in the name of authenticity. All you have to do is pay attention. I spent my lunch break at a coffee shop near Melinda's office, listening to her coworkers gossip. Kelsey and Sandra were there, holding court at a corner table, discussing their weekend plans. Melinda looked so happy this morning, Kelsey was saying, like a completely different person. She's been glowing for weeks, Sandra agreed. I'm so glad she finally decided to prioritize herself. Do you think Owen knows? About Troy? God, I hope not. Can you imagine? He'd probably have a nervous breakdown. They both laughed like the idea of my emotional devastation was hilarious. Troy's so much better for her, Kelsey continued. He actually appreciates what he has. Owen just takes her for granted. Men like Owen never fight for what they want, Sandra said. They just accept whatever scraps they're given. It's pathetic. I recorded the entire conversation on my phone. Not for legal purposes, but for motivation. Every time I started to feel guilty about what I was planning, I could listen to Melinda's friends laughing about my humiliation. That evening, I told Melinda I'd joined Troy's gym. You what? She nearly choked on her wine. I signed up for personal training sessions. You were right. He seems like a great guy, very enthusiastic. The color drained from her face. Owen, I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? You said he was the best trainer in the city. It's just, it might be awkward. You know, mixing business with pleasure. What business? I thought you met him at a conference. I did. But we've become friends since then. It might be weird having my husband as his client. I'm sure it'll be fine. In fact, he seemed excited about it. Said he was looking forward to helping me reach my fitness goals. Melinda excused herself and went upstairs. I heard her talking on the phone, probably warning Troy about the complication. The burner phone confirmed it 20 minutes later. Melinda, Owen signed up for training with you. This is a disaster. Troy, relax. I can handle your husband. Might even be fun. Melinda, this isn't a joke. He can't find out about us. Troy, he won't. The guy's clueless. Besides, it'll be easier to keep an eye on him this way. Perfect. They thought they were managing me. In reality, they were walking straight into my trap. My first training session was scheduled for Wednesday evening. I spent Tuesday preparing, researching Troy's training methods and his other clients. I also set up a few insurance policies. I installed a voice recording app on my phone and tested it thoroughly. I researched the gym's security camera system and identified all the blind spots. Most importantly, I reached out to Troy's ex-wife, Gina. Gina Bannon lived across town in a modest apartment with her 2 kids from the marriage. According to the divorce records I'd found online, Troy had left her for one of his clients 3 years ago. The settlement had been messy, with accusations of infidelity and financial misconduct. I called her Tuesday evening, introducing myself as someone who was considering business dealings with Troy and wanted to verify his character references. Troy Bannon? She laughed bitterly. What do you want to know? That he's a lying, cheating sociopath who thinks marriage vows are just suggestions? I take it the divorce was contentious. Contentious is one word for it. He cleaned out our joint accounts to fund his gym, then left me for a 25-year-old yoga instructor. When I tried to get my fair share, he hid assets and claimed poverty. Meanwhile, he's driving around in a BMW and taking his girlfriend to Cabo. Sounds like a real prince? He's a predator. He targets married women, tells them they deserve better, makes them feel special. Then when they leave their husbands, he moves on to the next victim. The yoga instructor lasted 8 months. This was even better than I'd hoped. Would you be willing to share your story publicly, if the right opportunity arose? Are you a reporter? No, just someone who's been hurt by Troy and wants to make sure other people know what they're dealing with. There was a long pause. What did he do to you? He's sleeping with my wife. Another pause. I'm sorry. I know how much that hurts. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm looking for justice. What do you have in mind? I explained my plan. Not all of it, just the parts that involved her. By the end of the conversation, Gina was fully on board. I've been waiting 3 years for someone to take that bastard down, she said. Count me in. Wednesday evening arrived. I drove to the gym with my phone recording and my game face on. Troy was waiting for me in the personal training area, looking like he'd stepped out of a fitness magazine. Owen! Great to see you again. Ready to transform your life? Absolutely. I'm tired of being overlooked. We started with basic exercises, Troy critiquing my form and offering encouragement. He was actually a decent trainer when he wasn't busy stealing wives. Professional, knowledgeable, motivating. So how long have you been married? He asked while I struggled through a set of squats. 16 years. You? Divorced. Twice, actually. Marriage is tough, you know? People grow apart. Melinda and I are doing fine, I lied. We're very happy together. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. Or disappointment. That's great, man. Really great. You're lucky to have someone like Melinda. I know I am. She's amazing, beautiful, smart, successful. I can't imagine my life without her. Troy pushed me harder for the rest of the session, like he was trying to punish me for something. By the time we finished, I was exhausted and soaked with sweat. Same time next week? He asked. Definitely. This was exactly what I needed. I drove home with a smile on my face. Phase 1 was complete. Troy now saw me as a threat, which would make him sloppy. And I had 45 minutes of recorded conversation that painted him as someone very interested in my marriage. Melinda was waiting when I got home, pretending to read a book in the living room. How was your workout? Great. Troy's really good at what he does. We talked a lot about relationships, actually. He gave me some interesting perspective on marriage. Oh? What kind of perspective? He thinks people take each other for granted too easily. That couples should fight harder for what they have instead of just accepting problems. Melinda's book trembled slightly in her hands. That's nice advice. He also said I should pay more attention to you. Make sure you know how much I appreciate everything you do for our family. Owen, you don't need to? No, he's right. I've been coasting, assuming you'd always be here. But Troy made me realize that a woman like you has options. I need to step up my game. I kissed her forehead and went upstairs to shower. Behind me, I heard her fumbling for her phone. The burner phone lit up 20 minutes later. Melinda, we have a problem. Owen's acting strange. Troy. Strange how? Melinda, he's being attentive. Romantic. It's freaking me out. Troy, maybe he suspects something. Melinda, or maybe you said something during his workout. Troy, I didn't say anything. But the guy kept going on about how happy you are together, how much he loves you. It was nauseating. Melinda, we need to be more careful. Troy, or we need to speed things up. I'm tired of sneaking around. Melinda, what do you mean? Troy, I mean, maybe it's time for you to choose. Him or me? I stared at the phone screen, my heart racing. This was moving faster than I'd expected. I needed to accelerate my timeline. The next morning, I called in sick again and drove to the gym. Troy was training a client, a blonde woman in her 30s who hung on his every word. I recognized her from his Instagram posts. I waited until he was alone, then approached him. Troy, I wanted to thank you for yesterday. You really opened my eyes. Oh, hey Owen, what are you doing here? We don't have a session today. I know, I just wanted to talk. About what you said about fighting for your marriage. He looked uncomfortable. Sure, what about it? I think Melinda might be having an affair. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Troy's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Shock, guilt, fear, and finally calculation. Wow, man, that's heavy. What makes you think that? Little things. She's been distant, secretive, working late, going out with friends more. Classic signs, right? I wouldn't know. I've never been cheated on. Liar. According to Gina, he'd been cheated on by the yoga instructor. I was thinking about hiring a private investigator. What do you think? I think you should talk to your wife first. Communication is key in any relationship. You're right. I should confront her directly. Ask her if she's seeing someone else. Troy looked like he was going to be sick. Maybe don't be too confrontational. You don't want to accuse her of something without proof. Oh, I'm not going to accuse her. I'm going to ask her to be honest with me. Tell her that I love her and I want to fight for our marriage. If she's seeing someone else, I want to know who it is so I can show him that I'm not giving up without a fight. The color drained from Troy's face. Owen, I mean it, Troy. If some guy thinks he can steal my wife, he's got another thing coming. I might look like a pushover, but I can be dangerous when someone threatens my family. I wasn't threatening him, not really, but I could see him interpreting it that way. Look, man, maybe you should take some time to think about this. Don't do anything rash. You're right. I should be smart about it. Strategic. Thanks for listening, Troy. It means a lot to have someone I can trust. I left him standing there looking like he'd seen a ghost. By the time I got home, the burner phone was buzzing with frantic messages. Troy, we need to meet. Now. Melinda, what's wrong? Troy, your husband knows. Melinda, what do you mean he knows? Troy, he came to the gym, started talking about hiring a PI, confronting you, fighting for your marriage. He basically threatened me. Melinda, Owen doesn't threaten people. He's not the type. Troy, well, he's the type now. We need to figure out what to do. Melinda, let me handle Owen. You just stay away from him. Troy, what if he tells people about us? Melinda, there's nothing to tell. We've been careful, Troy. Not careful enough? I think we should cool things off for a while. Melinda, are you serious? Now? When I'm finally ready to leave him? Troy, I'm just saying we should be smart about this. Melinda, I can't believe you're backing out now. I thought you were different. The conversation continued for another hour, getting progressively more heated. By the end, they were barely speaking to each other. Troy was scared of confrontation, and Melinda was angry that her knight in shining armor had turned out to be a coward. Perfect. Phase 2 was ahead of schedule. That evening, Melinda came home in a foul mood. She snapped at Emily over homework, complained about dinner, and spent the rest of the night glaring at her phone like it had personally offended her. Everything okay? I asked. Fine. Just work stress. Anything I can help with? No, Owen. You can't help with anything. You never can. The venom in her voice was startling. Emily looked up from her homework, surprised by her mother's tone. Mom, are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired. But she wasn't fine. She was falling apart, and she didn't even know why. The plan was working better than I'd hoped. I gave it one more day, then moved to Phase 3. Friday evening, I told Melinda I'd made dinner reservations at Romano's, the upscale Italian place where we'd had our first anniversary dinner. She looked surprised, but agreed to go. What I didn't tell her was that I'd also invited Troy to join us. I'd called him that afternoon, pretending to be distraught about my marriage. Troy, I need your help. I think I'm losing Melinda. You're good with women. You understand relationships. Could you meet us for dinner tonight? Maybe help me figure out what I'm doing wrong? He'd tried to decline, but I'd played the desperate husband card perfectly. Told him I was at the end of my rope, that I trusted his judgment, that I didn't have anyone else to turn to. Please, man. I'm begging you. One dinner. Help me save my marriage. He'd finally agreed, probably because he was curious about what I knew and how much danger he was in. Melinda and I arrived at Romano's at 7. She was wearing the black dress again, the one she'd worn to her fake client dinner. She looked beautiful and nervous, like she was expecting bad news. "This is nice," she said as we were seated. "What's the occasion?" "I wanted to talk to you about us. About our future." Her face went pale. "Owen, if this is about what I said the other night..." "It's not." "Well, not entirely. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I realize I haven't been the husband you deserve." "You don't need to." "Yes, I do. I've taken you for granted, Melinda. I've assumed you'd always be here, no matter how little effort I put into our relationship. That's not fair to you." She looked confused, like she couldn't figure out where this was going. "I want to fight for us," I continued. "I want to be the man you fell in love with 16 years ago. The man you deserve now." Tears started forming in her eyes. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "Owen, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just want you to know that I see you. I appreciate you. And I'm not going to let anyone come between us." That's when Troy walked in. He spotted us immediately and approached the table looking like a man walking to his execution. "Owen, Melinda, thanks for inviting me." Melinda's face went through the same series of expressions Troy's had at the gym. Shock, fear, confusion, and finally, a desperate attempt at composure. "Troy, what a surprise. I didn't know you were joining us." "Owen asked me to come. He wanted relationship advice." Troy sat down across from us, avoiding eye contact with Melinda. The tension at the table was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Troy's been helping me understand some things about marriage," I said to Melinda, "about what women really want from their husbands." "Has he?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "He's been very insightful. Haven't you, Troy?" Troy nodded miserably. "I just want what's best for both of you." "That's so sweet," I said. "It's not every day you meet someone who cares so much about other people's relationships." The waiter came to take our order. Troy asked for a double scotch. Melinda couldn't seem to focus on the menu. I ordered for both of us, playing the attentive husband role to perfection. "So, Troy," I said once the waiter left, "tell Melinda what you told me about fighting for what you want." "I don't think..." "Come on, don't be modest. You had some great insights about not letting other people take what belongs to you." Troy looked like he wanted to disappear. "I just think communication is important." "Communication." "Right. Melinda, is there anything you want to communicate to me? Anything at all?" She stared at me with those cold eyes, trying to figure out how much I knew. The silence stretched on until it became uncomfortable. "I think there might be some things we need to discuss," she said finally. "What kind of things?" "Private things, between husband and wife." "Oh, I don't mind if Troy hears. He's practically part of the family at this point." Melinda's wine glass trembled in her hand. Troy was staring at his scotch like it held the secrets of the universe. "Actually," I continued, "I feel like I already know Troy so well. Like he's been part of our lives for months." "Owen," Melinda started. "It's funny how you can meet someone and feel like you've known them forever. Like they understand you in ways other people don't. Don't you think so, Troy?" "I should go," Troy said, starting to stand. "Nonsense. We haven't even ordered dinner yet. Besides, I have so many questions for you." I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. Questions like, "How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" The silence that followed was deafening. Melinda's face went white. Troy sat back down heavily, like his legs had given out. "Owen, please," Melinda whispered. "Please what? Please pretend I don't know? Please act like I haven't been reading your text messages for weeks?" I showed them the burner phone. "You left this in the garage, sweetheart." "Very careless of you." Melinda stared at the phone like it was a snake. Troy looked like he was going to throw up. "How long?" I asked again. 3 months, Melinda said quietly. 3 months. And how many of those months were you planning to leave me? "Owen, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been lying to me, humiliating me, laughing about me with your friends, planning your future with this piece of garbage while I paid your bills and raised your daughter. Emily's your daughter, too. Emily is the only good thing to come out of our marriage, and she's the only reason I haven't destroyed both of you already." Troy finally found his voice. "Look, man, I'm sorry. It just happened." "It just happened?" "For 3 months? In hotel rooms you paid for with money you stole from your ex-wife?" Troy's eyes widened. He hadn't expected me to know about Gina. "That's right. I talked to your ex-wife." "Interesting woman. She had a lot to say about your character." "Owen, let's just calm down and talk about this rationally," Melinda said. "Rationally? You want to talk rationally? Okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to choose right now in front of everyone in this restaurant, him or me. That's not fair. Fair? You think any of this has been fair? Choose, Melinda. Your husband and daughter, or your boyfriend and his failing gym. She looked back and forth between us, tears streaming down her face. The entire restaurant was staring at our table now, sensing the drama unfolding. I can't choose like this. Not here, not now. Then I'll choose for you. I stood up and addressed the entire restaurant in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my wife, Melinda Winslow, and her boyfriend, Troy Bannon. They've been having an affair for 3 months, lying to everyone they know and planning to destroy our family. I thought you should know the kind of people you're dining with tonight. The restaurant erupted in whispers and gasps. Several people started taking pictures with their phones. Melinda buried her face in her hands. Troy stood up and threw his napkin on the table. You're insane, he said. No, I'm done being the fool. How's it feel, Troy? Having everyone know what kind of man you really are. He stormed out of the restaurant. Melinda sat there sobbing while 50 strangers stared at her. I left a $100 bill on the table and walked out, leaving her to deal with the aftermath alone. My phone was ringing before I got to my car. Raj. Owen, what the hell did you do? It's all over social media already. Phase 3, I said. Public humiliation. Jesus Christ. Are you okay? I'm perfect. For the first time in months, I'm exactly where I want to be. I drove home to find Emily waiting in the living room, her overnight bag packed. Dad, can I stay at Jessica's house tonight? Mom texted me and said you guys had a fight. That's putting it mildly. Are you okay? I'm sad, but I'm not surprised. I kind of knew this was coming. I hugged her tight. I'm sorry you have to go through this, Em. None of this is your fault. I know. And Dad, I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. Mom's been treating you badly for a long time. Smart kid. Too smart. After Emily left, I sat in my living room and waited. Melinda came home an hour later, her makeup ruined and her dress wrinkled. How could you do that to me? She screamed. Be in front of all those people? The same way you could do this to me for 3 months. The same way you could laugh about me with your friends and plan your future with another man. I never meant for it to happen. But it did happen, and now everyone knows what kind of person you really are. You've ruined everything. My job, my reputation, my relationship with Troy. Troy? You're worried about Troy? He ran out of that restaurant like his ass was on fire. Some knight in shining armor. She collapsed on the couch, sobbing. For a moment, I felt a flicker of the love I used to have for her, but then I remembered the text messages, the lies, the cruel laughter of her friends. What happens now? She asked. Now you reap what you've sown. The whole city knows what you did, Melinda. Your coworkers, your friends, Emily's teachers, our neighbors, everyone. You destroyed my life. No, I revealed your life. There's a difference. She went upstairs without another word. I heard her on the phone, probably calling Kelsey and Sandra to commiserate, but I doubted they'd be as sympathetic now that the secret was out. The burner phone was silent. No messages from Troy, no plans for future meetings. The great romance was over before it had really begun, but I wasn't done yet. Phase 3 was complete, but I had one more surprise planned. The final phase would make sure that neither Troy nor Melinda ever forgot the consequences of underestimating Owen Winslow. The video from Romano's went viral over the weekend. Someone had live-streamed the entire confrontation, and it spread across social media like wildfire. Restaurant revenge was trending on Twitter. Local news stations picked it up. I became the poster child for betrayed husbands everywhere. My phone rang constantly. Reporters wanting interviews, friends offering support, strangers sharing their own infidelity stories. I ignored most of them, but I did take one call that mattered. Mr. Winslow? This is Janet Morrison from Channel 7 News. We'd like to do a segment on your story, if you're interested. What kind of segment? A human interest piece about modern relationships, infidelity, social media justice. Very tasteful, very sympathetic to your situation. Will you be interviewing my wife and her boyfriend as well? We've reached out to them, but they've declined to comment. Of course they had. They were probably hiding in their respective holes, waiting for the storm to pass. I'll do it, I said, but I have some conditions. The interview was scheduled for Tuesday evening. That gave me time to prepare, and more importantly, time to implement the final phase of my plan. Monday morning, I went back to work for the first time since the restaurant incident. My coworkers treated me like a celebrity. Everyone wanted to know how I was holding up, whether I needed anything, if there was anything they could do to help. Raj pulled me aside during lunch. You're a legend, man. But are you sure you're okay? This has got to be eating you up inside. I'm fine. Better than fine. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm in control of my own life. What about Emily? How's she handling all this? She's resilient, and she's better off knowing the truth about her mother. And Melinda? Have you talked to her since Friday? She's staying at her sister's house. Apparently I'm dangerous and unpredictable. Raj laughed. You? Dangerous? The guy who apologizes to vending machines when they eat your dollar? People change when they're pushed too far. That afternoon, I got a call from Melinda's boss at the insurance company. Mr. Winslow, this is Richard Hartley from Pinnacle Insurance. I'm calling about the situation with your wife. What about it? As I'm sure you know, we have strict policies regarding employee conduct, especially for our executive staff. The events of this weekend have created some complications. I imagine they have. Melinda is currently on administrative leave pending a full investigation. I wanted to give you a heads up in case this affects your family's financial situation. Administrative leave. That was corporate speak for, we're going to fire her, but we need to follow proper procedures first. I appreciate the call, Mr. Hartley. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you're going through this. Melinda spoke about you often. I had no idea there were problems in your marriage. Neither did I, until 3 weeks ago. Tuesday evening arrived. The news crew set up in my living room, transforming it into a professional studio. Janet Morrison was a polished blonde in her 40s, the kind of reporter who specialized in human interest stories that made viewers feel better about their own lives. Are you ready for this? She asked while the cameraman adjusted his equipment. As ready as I'll ever be. Remember, just be yourself. Tell your story honestly. The audience will connect with your authenticity. The interview lasted an hour. I talked about the discovery of the affair, the months of lies, the humiliation I'd felt when I realized how many people knew about it before I did. I spoke about Emily, about trying to protect her while still standing up for myself. Some people might say your response was extreme, Janet said, confronting them in public, exposing their affair to strangers. Do you have any regrets? My only regret is that I didn't find out sooner. My wife and her boyfriend spent months making a fool of me, laughing about it with their friends, planning their future while I paid the bills. They showed me no respect, no consideration, no honesty. Why should I show them any? What's next for you and your family? I'm filing for divorce. I'm seeking full custody of my daughter, and I'm making sure that everyone in this city knows exactly what kind of people Melinda and Troy really are. That sounds like revenge. No, that's justice. Revenge would be destroying their lives the way they tried to destroy mine. Justice is making sure they face the consequences of their choices. The interview aired Thursday night. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Social media lit up with messages of support. # Justice for Owen started trending. I became the hero of every betrayed spouse in America. More importantly, the interview had exactly the effect I'd hoped for. Friday morning, I got a call from Gina Bannon. Owen, have you seen the news about Troy's gym? What about it? 3 of his biggest sponsors pulled out yesterday. Apparently they don't want to be associated with a home wrecker. His membership is down 40% since the restaurant video went viral. That's unfortunate. It gets better. The landlord is threatening to evict him for bringing negative publicity to the shopping center, and 2 of his employees quit yesterday. Troy's carefully constructed life was falling apart, one piece at a time, just like he'd planned to do to mine. There's more, Gina continued. I got a call from his lawyer yesterday. Troy wants to settle our outstanding disputes. Apparently he's desperate for cash. Are you going to settle? Hell no, I'm going to drag this out as long as possible. Let him twist in the wind for a while. I liked Gina more every day. The call about Melinda came that afternoon. Richard Hartley again. Mr. Winslow, I wanted to inform you that we've completed our investigation into your wife's conduct. Effective immediately, her employment with Pinnacle Insurance has been terminated. I see. The morality clause in her executive contract was very clear. Public scandal reflecting poorly on the company is grounds for dismissal without severance. No job, no severance, no prospects. Melinda's professional life was as dead as her marriage. Mr. Hartley, can I ask you something? Of course. How long did people at your company know about the affair? There was a long pause. I think that's a conversation for another time. They all knew, didn't they? Just like her friends knew. I was the only one in the dark. I'm sorry, Mr. Winslow. Truly. That evening, Emily came home from her week at her aunt's house. She seemed older somehow, more serious. The events of the past week had forced her to grow up faster than any 13-year-old should have to. "How are you doing, kiddo?" "I'm okay." "Sad, but okay." "How are you?" "I'm good." "Really good. How do you feel about it just being the two of us for a while?" "I think I'd like that. It's been just the two of us for a long time anyway, really. Mom was always somewhere else, even when she was here. Smart kid, too smart. Dad, can I ask you something? Are you proud of what you did?" "At the restaurant, I mean." I thought about it carefully. "I'm proud that I stood up for myself. I'm proud that I didn't let them keep making a fool of me. But I'm not proud that it had to happen at all. I think you did the right thing. Mom needed to face consequences for what she did." "What about Troy?" "Do you think he deserved what happened to him? He knew Mom was married. He knew she had a daughter. He didn't care about hurting us, so why should we care about hurting him? Definitely too smart." Saturday morning brought the final piece of the puzzle. Melinda called, her voice barely above a whisper. "Owen, we need to talk." "I'm listening." "I lost my job. Troy won't return my calls. My friends won't speak to me. I have nowhere to go." "That sounds like a personal problem. Please, I know I hurt you, but I'm still Emily's mother. I need help. You should have thought about that before you decided to destroy our family. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Every text message, every lie, every secret meeting was a choice. Now you get to live with the consequences. What do you want from me? What will it take for you to forgive me? Nothing. There's nothing you can do, Melinda. You burned this bridge when you decided I wasn't worth your honesty or respect. So that's it? 16 years of marriage, and you're just going to throw it all away?" "I didn't throw anything away." "You did. I'm just cleaning up the mess you left behind." She hung up without another word. Sunday evening, I was helping Emily with her homework when the doorbell rang. Troy Bannon stood on my front porch, looking like he'd aged 10 years in a week. His perfect hair was disheveled, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes red-rimmed with exhaustion. "We need to talk," he said. "I don't think we do. Please, just 5 minutes." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "You've got 3 minutes. Look, I know you're angry. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry about everything. About Melinda, about the affair, about all of it. It was wrong, and I know that now. You knew it was wrong when you started. You just didn't care. You're right. I didn't care. But I'm paying for it now, believe me. My business is ruined, my reputation is shot, I'm probably going to lose everything." "Good. Come on, man. Haven't I suffered enough? Can't we call it even?" I looked at this man who had tried to steal my wife, destroy my family, and humiliate me in front of the entire city. He was begging me for mercy he'd never shown me. "Even? You think we're even?" "I think we both made mistakes." "I didn't make any mistakes, Troy. I trusted my wife, I believed in my marriage, I worked every day to provide for my family. Those weren't mistakes." "Okay, fine. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?" "I want you to disappear. Leave town, change your name, start over somewhere else. Because if you stay here, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are for the rest of your life." "You can't do that. Watch me. I've got Gina on speed dial, and she's got stories about you that would make your affair with my wife look like a romantic comedy. I've got financial records that show how you've been stealing from your business partners. I've got testimonials from a dozen women you've manipulated and discarded over the years." Troy's face went white. "How did you?" "I'm very good at research. It's what I do for a living. And I've spent the last month learning everything there is to know about you. This is insane. You can't destroy someone's entire life over one mistake." "One mistake?" "You spent 3 months systematically destroying my marriage. You convinced my wife to lie to me, to humiliate me, to plan a future without me. You turned her against me and laughed about it. That wasn't one mistake. That was a campaign." Troy stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "You're not the same guy who came to my gym 2 weeks ago." "No, I'm not." That guy was naive enough to believe that people were basically good. That guy thought everyone deserved the benefit of the doubt. You and Melinda ended that guy. So what now? You're going to spend the rest of your life destroying people who cross you? "No, just the people who try to destroy my family. Consider yourself lucky, Troy. I could have done a lot worse." He turned to leave, then stopped. "For what it's worth, Melinda really did love you once. Once isn't enough." I watched him drive away, knowing I'd never see him again. His gym would close within a month. He'd declare bankruptcy within 3, and he'd spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder, wondering if his past was about to catch up with him again. The divorce papers were filed Monday morning. I asked for full custody of Emily, the house, and half of all marital assets. Melinda didn't contest any of it. She couldn't afford a lawyer, and she knew she